Oh yes, legends. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing great today. Let's analyze the situation here for the price of Bitcoin. Let's go. Hope you're doing absolutely wonderful, guys. Let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin and see what is going on, because we are right now at a major zone, important zone, of course, on the higher time frame. That is the anchored VWAP taken from $98,000. We were talking about this on yesterday's stream. For the moment, it is doing its job. We did get another wick to the upside yesterday, created an internal double, triple top situation, getting the move down. I have to say the bulls do have a chance in this zone to get that bounce. We got a bit of a resistance support flip area. Could this be a three-wave corrective structure? This is the area that the bulls really want to hold on here, this 71k region, to start getting some more upside momentum to try and tackle the highs. This could be a corrective structure. There is a possibility, if that is the case, this is the area where the bulls want to hold to create another high. If we start going below $70,000, it ain't going to be looking too great for the bulls. All of that will be explained in today's live stream, guys, so make sure to stay tuned, of course. Now, we did have that rejection from the anchored VWAP from all-time high, right? When we do connect the anchored VWAP, we did get rejected at $98,000, just slightly below. We got another major pivot for an anchored VWAP. This is where the price is getting a reaction in the last 24 hours. Anchored VWAP from 98k. We'll be analyzing the situation on the lower time frame, discussing the different possibilities, and can the bulls push up? If we do lose 70k, it's already going to be looking not so great. If we do create one more high, then it's going to be looking okay for the bulls. Of course, we have a few structures, a few scenarios, okay? A few scenarios that we can discuss, but I am extremely interested in this zone for a swing short. If the bulls fail to get momentum pushing in the next coming days, maybe it's failed already, but if it fails to get the momentum and break this zone at 74, 75k, and starts moving down throughout today and tomorrow below $70,000, get acceptance back inside of the value area of this trading zone, it ain't going to be looking good for the bulls. It ain't going to be looking good. If we get back inside here of the value area of the last 4 weeks, it's not going to be looking great. And it opens the door for a possibility move down to $60,000. Eventually, this would take at least a week, maybe a couple of weeks, okay? Very, very interested in this swing short position, guys. I've been waiting for the last 1 to 2 weeks for the possibility of getting above $72,000, understanding the momentum, understanding the resistance that we have, and understanding my strategy. And I want to go in heavy weight in this short position. Regardless if we claim the highs again and it fails, I will be ready with my strategy to take this trade back down to $60,000. That is if we do get the chance. Will it happen or not? I don't know. I know how to execute the trade. I know how to manage my risk, and that's what I'm looking for, regardless if the trade plays out or not. It doesn't matter because we manage risk, okay? Overall, make sure to get your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, your Coca-Cola, your water, whatever you want, guys, and we'll go through the comment section. First of all, I need to give that disclaimer. Of course, the content that is provided is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision. None of my content, live streams, is financial advice. It's just for education. It's just my personal opinion, of course. Let's go through comment section right away. Say hello to the absolute legends. Smash it up. Smash it up. We got Walter White here. Also on my feed. Absolutely epic series, guys. Breaking Bad. If you haven't watched it, make sure to watch it. It's absolutely awesome. Right. Mehdi SD, how are you doing? Legend. Looking for that 64k liquidation. CoinGlass showing huge leverage positions. Yeah, we got some you know, we have swept significant amount of liquidity, of course, of shorts. You know, I wasn't in any short position throughout the last few days till we actually bumped into that VWAP, of course, as explained yesterday. This is the zone that I'm looking for double, triple tops. As we can see on the lower time frame, we did reject once. However, very much aware of getting back above and creating that double top, another rejection at the anchored VWAP. This was the strategy. This is the zone that I'm interested in double, triple tops, okay, at the anchored VWAP. So far, so good. Couple of $1,000 move down. Good for a scalp. Also good for a swing trade. I treated this as a scalp and a swing trade, okay? So I'm ready for a quick little move down of $1,000 or so, right? Give or take, whatever the market wants to give me. Ready to collect some profits and ready to hold some of that for the potential swing short. I have to say, the price does have a chance of bouncing in this region, okay? The bulls need to hold this territory. That will be explained right away on the lower time frames, of course. But let me just continue through the comment section, say hello to the beautiful legends, and we'll break down everything, okay? You know, I'm more of a swing trader, get into some day trades once in a while, but treating this as a very, very possible swing short zone, okay? Hi, Andy. How you doing, my man? On a short from 73.9. Let's go. Shanjay, absolutely awesome. Yeah, it does have the potential, as explained. You know, when we do take a look at the, you know, how the price moves, basically, right? How does the price move and how does the price react at certain levels? And it's a liquidity game at the end of the day, right? Elliott Wave theory is all good to have the different probabilities of the movements, if we have another wave up or not, right? It helps with decision taking. However, the confluence that we have in this zone, when we just take a look at the price action, right, just to keep things a little bit more simple for the viewer, where we do have, you know, how does the price move, right? We got a big move down here from all-time high, and we have this very, very choppy, rangy structure, which forms a high, right, of a range. You got a range high right over here. It is very, very common, right, in a downtrending structure that you form a range and you claim that liquidity above the range highs, right? After this, the price absolutely tanked, you know, followed with the next weeks. When we do look at the price action, we have to say it is similar. It is not the same, but it's kind of similar. Will this time play out again, or is it more bullish than we think and it just pops out, goes to, you know, 78, 80K plus, and it actually goes to higher levels in the coming days? Well, I don't know. Maybe it does. However, this is a zone to have the attempts, not only with the anchored VWAP confluence, but also with the similarity that there is of getting a big move down, forming a range, get above the highs of the range, forming a range, getting above the highs, okay, of the range to get that liquidity to then only roll over throughout the next coming days and weeks. You know, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But just with that theory, you would say, okay, you know, we are in a bear market. We've claimed that liquidity above the highs of the range. You know, this is the zone where you want to be interested in, where I want to be interested in taking the short position, right? So we've got nice confluence. It's the anchored VWAPs. We've got the similarities of a range, claim the highs of the range, liquidity, claim the highs of the range, liquidity, right? Will the bears kick in right now as we've squeezed out the short positions, right, throughout the last few days with that pump? I'm in the camp with the possibility that it can happen, right? This is why I've been interested in the short throughout the last day in this zone. Let's break down the different possibilities. Bullish case scenario, bearish case scenario. If you joined yesterday's live stream, we talked about them. I'm not sure if we need to talk about them again. Probably not. I think we need to focus more on the, this price action, the 15-minute price action, and try and understand a little bit, what are the different options, okay? What options do we have? Now, there's a couple of pivots here that we can take into consideration based on the structure when we consider Elliott Wave theory. There is this pivot right over here, and there is this pivot right over here. Just because these two pivots, with these two pivots, I have the different combinations. I have the different Elliott Wave combinations and levels of invalidation to start getting off, some scenarios that could happen if we hit some invalidations, of course. But these are the two most important pivots to recognize this momentum to the upside. Not this one, but either these two right over here. Why these two? First of all, this could be a wave 2, or it could be a wave B. Okay, because you got the low, you got the high, you got the higher low. That's it, right? You got a possibility of a wave 2 or a wave B being formed at that low at $62,000. 62.5k, sorry. Quick hello to the wonderful legends. Okay, sorry, my bad. I'm super bad with the comment section, guys. Forgive me. Bath Maria Vallejos, much love. Let's go. Remme, how are you doing? Legends, smash up the like button if you haven't done already. A trader, good morning. Bull's nightmare coming soon. It is the bull's nightmare, right? We've claimed the liquidity of the range highs. We're hitting anchored VWAP. We're in a bear market. People getting excited, calling for much higher levels. It could be a topping zone. 74, 75k region. We just gently got above 74k yesterday. And for the moment now, we can already see a little bit of the weakness, right? Is it corrective, this move, or is it going to start to be impulsive to the downside? That's what we're going to discuss on the 15-minute time frame. So make sure to stay tuned. Need some top tier alpha today. Crypto Monkey, much love. Too much liquidity to the downside. Bulls can't hold this. Andy, does this look more like a correction? It can be a correction for sure. I can explain a little bit of the confirmation levels for a corrective move on the lower time frame. We will discuss the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame on today's live stream. I think this is where we have the action, where we have the different possibilities, of course. Love from India, much love, Yesh. Let's go. Tap the like button. Nico Soapy, thank you very much for joining. Anchored VWAP was not tapped on Binance chart. Yeah, this is the thing, but it was on Coinbase. So far, so good. Coinbase is the chart because it's on spot. Binance, I don't trust Binance. I don't trust the chart. I don't trust the wicks. I don't trust the volatility. It is true that it is a very high volume exchange. It could be good for volume profiles, for volume levels. However, if we consider the market price action, there is no better chart to analyze than a spot chart where you have solid movements on spot, not leverage wicks that can be a little bit unreliable. Leverage platforms are good for volume profiles. I used to use Bybit a lot for volume profiles and for wicks and for swing failure patterns because it worked very, very well. However, considering anchored VWAP, the anchored VWAP was not hit also here at $98,000 on Bybit chart, possibly on Binance. It was not hit either. So for anchored VWAP, spot exchange such as Coinbase, of course, is more reliable for this, really. Okay, so I think the anchored VWAP was somewhere around about 102k when we take a look at Bybit in this case. So overall, let's dive in right away through the scenarios that I want to cover here. Bitcoin price needs to chop around here. It needs to find some support, chop around a little bit. If it chops into this 71k region throughout the stream, if we get a bit of choppiness, I will be interested in a long position. Okay, I will explain. There's no rush. If it chops around in this zone, I have no rush in entering along at the moment. If it does chop around, I would be interested in that long position. We might get it through the stream because we need about an hour or two of choppiness. I probably will still be streaming, of course. However, if it just continues breaking down, we could be labeled this movement to the downside as a wave 3 developing. If we do not get a stop here very, very soon, then naturally we're not considering this as a ABC 3-wave structure. Okay, so patience right now is very much required instead of trying to catch the low here. If you try and catch the low at fib levels, you need the reaction. You get stopped out, you know, very, very quickly. If you do get a little bounce, then come back down to your entry. It's just not worth it. I will be explaining a little bit here what I need to see for me to execute a long position in this zone. It literally just needs to hold. It needs a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a range throughout the next couple of hours. Then it looks interesting. It is true that you could treat this pivot higher low as an aggressive swing failure pattern scalp. This pivot higher low right over here, it is a common zone to get a quick reaction. Anybody, you know, I'm talking for myself, that wants to get into a quick reactive area, it would be this one right over here. It either breaks it, you got inefficiency right there, that fair value gap. Want to be cautious because price could break down very aggressively in this zone. However, it is a reactionary zone, fair value gap, potential ABC. You know, if you know, this is a smelly fingers zone, right? If you want to be a bottom catcher, you need to be very, very good with risk. But there is that potential naturally here for this to happen, to get a quick reaction bounce. I usually like these kind of pivots to get a reaction. Fair value gap. You know, this is a zone to hold. If it does not hold, then you can fill this entire movement. These big moves to the upside don't usually leave much volume when you do consider the volume profile. Right? For example, you do have a little bit of a range from here with a bit of volume. But yeah, if you don't react in this zone, you could actually dip down. You know, there's a bit of an empty volume area here. And if you already come that low with this movement, it's not going to be looking great for the bullish market structure. Not going to be looking great. You know, if the bulls do have a chance here, without a doubt, for this to be a 3-wave corrective structure. However, what I would want to see here on the lower time frames is get a bit of choppiness. The movement down can be a leading diagonal for that wave A, where you do have a 5-wave move in a leading diagonal. You got your sharp B wave, which is very, very common after a leading diagonal. That's what you want to see, really. A sharp move up to the 61878 Fibonacci retracement, which is what happened. Naturally, if this is going to be a corrective move down, if this is going to be a C wave, what we can map right now in this momentum is getting a couple of 1-2s here. And a couple of 4-5s. So let me just change this right away. I know this is where we got the action at the moment, guys. Higher time frame. We can go through it right away. But this is what I would want to see on the lower time frame. This is about right. That's about right over here. So far, getting a little bounce here is good. Getting a little bounce here is good. If you bounce in this region and then you take out the low again, you know, I would be interested in an SFP here. I would be interested in an SFP because we could be looking at a 3-wave corrective structure. Maybe. It would just be a very, very good entry. You got a leading diagonal to the downside in a A wave. Very, very sharp zigzag in a B wave. And then you have 1, 2. 1, 2. You start getting the big move down here in that wave 3. Small 4, 5. I would want to see another 4, 5 here, because we got a double 1, 2. The movement starts very aggressively right over here, which obviously can be labeled as that wave 3. That is if this is corrective. So if you got a double 1, 2, you want a double 4, 5. For the moment, we got 1, 4, we got 1, 5. We get 1 more 4, 1 more 5. This is the moment for the SFP. Everything points out nicely that this bounce, if it forms a lower high and we claim 70K, 70.6K, it is an acceptable SFP entry. We might get this on stream. It would be acceptable for that swing failure pattern, for the entry that has the potential of going back to the highs here, depending on where that, SFP is. Really, really good risk to reward. I like the choppiness. If we get a little bit of a bounce here, form a lower high, then form another low. It's one optional trade that I do have here that I would be looking at for the next 1 to 2 hours. This is the 5-minute chart, so it could still take another hour-ish or so to develop. But if we are considering an ABC, we've got the leading diagonal in wave A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sharp zigzag wave B. That's nice. That's what you want to see after a leading diagonal. And now for the moment, we got 2 1 2s, the big move down locally here. What I want to see right now is 2 4 5s. For the moment, we got 1 4 5. Another 4 and 5 is very much the option right over here. And it comes perfectly for that swing failure pattern of that higher low. The inefficiency does not want to be broken, because if you lose that pivot, then we go down. We go down here if you lose this zone. So I need the reaction. We need that low to be taken. If it's broken, it's broken. There's no long trade to be taken, at least for me anyway. If it breaks, then I'm not interested in the long. If we get a bit of a bounce and we take out the low, I will be waiting here patiently for the reaction, get acceptance back above that pivot. This could be on the 1-minute time frame. It could be on the 5-minute time frame. It could be just a little wick. It could be a significant candle. We're just going to have to see. I need the reaction. I need the last 4 5. I need that movement down. It's a swing failure pattern level. Liquidity grab. Will it come to fruition? Then maybe yes, maybe no. That's one of the scenarios that we're looking at here. If this is going to be corrective, right? If we right, what else can we talk about here? Yeah, bearish case scenario is that we just continue breaking down, right? Of course, right? The bearish case scenario is that this is a wave 1, wave 2, and your wave 3, starts breaking down significantly here. You don't get any reaction. You don't consolidate here. You don't get a little bounce and another low. If you just roll down and break through, what we could be looking at here is a wave 3 formation. Not interested. Not interested in any longs. Of course, you do have this to be a wave 1. You do have this to be a wave 2. This could be multiple 1-2s, and your wave 3 is just really gearing up here, right? This could definitely start moving down very aggressively. And with the speculation of 4/5s coming in here, maybe it doesn't happen. And you just get that, you know, strong move to the downside. So yeah, it's a little bit of what I'm looking at here. Would be nice to get a bit of a rangy structure and then take out the low for the swing failure pattern. Because then I can label this as a wave 4. This little bounce. I can label it as a wave 4 here. If we continue from this pivot, it's not going to be looking that great. We could have a quick, maybe a quick attempt I could have on that SFB, but if it's broken, not interested. Okay, so that's a little bit of what we have here locally. Yeah, we'll leave that. I'm gonna put an alert down here as I do the analysis. I'll tell you what, I'll put it on another chart, so we then have this clean chart to analyze, and we'll dive in through the different scenarios here, which I was going to cover. The two most important pivots to analyze what we have when we consider Elliott Wave theory is this one and this one, as explained. Much love to everybody that is joining. Smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content. Spot on. Devolt, much love. The man himself, the legend. If you don't know who Devil is, you must know, because he's, you know, we've combined forces. He does the morning updates. Much love, Devil. I'm sure more people know you at this point, Devil, than myself. You have Patron, 2 more 4/5s for me. Yes, very, very true. Very, very true. I like it. You have Patron, a little bit of a rangy, little bit of a reaction, such as this one, a little reaction, another move down. This is such a common swing failure pattern level, especially when we consider that the bulls need to hold this zone. When we put Fibonacci extension, considering that we have a 3-wave corrective move ABC, when we get Fibonacci extension from the high to the low of A to the high of B, then we do have the 1-to-1 to the 1, 2, 3, 6, which is the common area for that C wave. We are currently in the middle. 1-to-1 got a slight reaction bounce. I know Devil likes to sniper trade these levels. We did get a bounce of, I don't know, it was about about $500 with the reaction at the 1-to-1. 1-to-1 did get a small little reaction. The 1, 2, 3, 6, it's great because it's so close to that SFB level. So it would make sense based on the lower time frame that we explained, that we formed a little 4th wave here, that we do form a little 4th wave and then claim the low. That's the moment we could get a significant bounce here. Okay, so it's a very, very valid option. Now we just need to wait to see if it's hit or not, or see if it reacts. Maybe it doesn't react and it breaks down, right? There's no rush. You know, the trading is all about waiting and reacting on the situation of the candlestick at certain levels. You know, you don't need to anticipate the front run. If it moves from here, it is what it is, right? If it bounces from here, then what can we do? The problem is, if I enter here, do I put a stop loss beneath this low? No. I'm just asking to get stopped out. If I get in here, do I put my stop loss a bit further away? I know it's going to get a reaction. I'm confident. No, I don't know if it's going to get a reaction. Right? So this is the thing about, we don't know what's going to happen next. We know where price can get a reaction based on the analysis that we combine based on the price action. We just need to react depending on what the price does. If it breaks, there's no long. If it reacts, you got a long, you got a good risk management position, and you have the potential of getting a nice little bounce here. So as that plan is created, we wait for it. We wait for the plan. Will it come to fruition? Will we get it? Will we bounce from here? It doesn't matter. You don't need to know. You have a plan at the moment, which is legit. It's a legit plan. I have an entry point. I know when to enter with the reaction. I do know where to put my stop loss beneath the wick of the fake out. I do know that this could be a 3-wave corrective structure. It has the potential to get back up to 74k. It's a possible target. Depending on the bounce, we'll have to decide if we, I take profit or not. So there is a plan here that covers all of the needs, right? Entry point, stop loss, possible target zone. We don't take a trade randomly because, yeah, I think it's going to bounce or I think it's going to move down, so I'll just enter a short. No, we don't trade like that, guys. We need to plan our trades, wait for the trades, and that's the road to success. That's the most interesting one here locally. If I were to zoom in, just trying to come with the idea that is it possible that we have a 5-wave move finished here? I don't like it because from here you have a 1-2 1-2 in a flat. Second wave 2, easily a flat here. That's the biggest move down. So yeah, ideally we do get another 4-5 here, really. And that 4-5, yeah, I mean it's just a great plan. And could it bounce from here? Because we've already created a 4 and 5. The problem is here I could not get a wave 1, a proper wave 1 here. Too much overlap. This has to be a double 1-2. If it were to bounce from here very aggressively, then yeah, I could come to the conclusion that maybe this was your 4 and 5. This would have to be a sideways kind of WXY for your wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4 and 5. Yeah, I don't have, especially having this pivot low here, I could not long here. I could not long with that liquidity grab pivot. And understanding this local structure, it does really look like that it's missing another 4 and 5. That's if you do not break down already from here and literally forming a very strong impulse down. Double 1-2 and just 3, and it just ends up breaking to much lower levels. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we got. I don't have a short entry here naturally. All down here there would be no short. What could be very interesting is to consider a short position overall. If we do get that movement down and we get the reaction, this could also not be a ABC, and it could be a 1-2 1 and 2. The moment that we understand that it could be a double 1-2 is that if this bounce naturally is going to get lots of overlap and it's going to be very corrective, then maybe this is going to be a 1-2 1-2 absolutely nuke in a wave 3 if the bounce is going to be a poor bounce and there's overlap, right? You get a 3-wave move up that you take out the higher low, then we can understand that it ain't looking pretty for the bulls here. And then obviously I would give priority for the multiple 1-2, massive breakdown in a wave 3. Yeah, only short potential is once we have the price action to the upside. We've got previous day value levels. Previous day value levels. Let's see why I haven't got previous day value area low here. Kind of below previous day value area low here. could be interesting. Daily open could act as resistance. Today's point of control. It really depends on how we bounce here. If we get a very poor bounce and lots of overlap, it is true that I would be favoring the 112 here. We're just gonna have to see. Let's see if we do get the reaction at the low. I mean, that's for me an entry point if we get a swing failure pattern. Anyway, we're just gonna have to wait for that. I've set the alert here on another chart, so I want to cover a little bit of the bullish and bearish case scenarios, looking at the 4-hourly time frame here. Okay, just to give a refresh of the situation. So far, anchored VWAP is doing its job. So swing short it is. Swing short it is here. It's for me a very acceptable swing short zone, and this could be the short of the month. If we end up, losing the value area high of this range, if we continue rolling down, I think it is likely going to bounce. I really think it is likely going to bounce somewhere in this territory at the 71k zone, if I'm honest with you. It would have been too easy of a short if the price just nukes now throughout today and tomorrow, gets back inside of the previous value zone. I mean, yeah, it's just that's going to be a very, very clear sign of weakness, and I'll be super happy because I've been waiting for this trade for the last week, basically. Might be the trade of the month. Let's cover the bullet. Let's just cover the possibilities here for the bulls, because as long as you maintain above this pivot high, which we're not too far away off, I have to say. If we maintain above this pivot, which is literally the value area, a possible bounce here, you got a resistance support flip here naturally. Even though you hit this pivot, I would expect a significant bounce. Reaction bounce here, basically. Just because it's good resistance, support, flip. It's the value area high. We did get rejected a couple of times here. Let's talk about the bullish case scenario, naturally. Let's talk about the bullish case, because it's not all doom and gloom, guys. When I'm feeling a little bit more bearish, I like to cover the bullish scenarios, just because there are bullish scenarios naturally. So let's talk about them right away. As explained yesterday, we do have this pivot low, this pivot high, and this next pivot higher low. That's the last higher low that we have from this pivot. There is a chance of connecting all of the waves for it to be a wave 1 and a wave 2. I don't like it too much for a wave 2, just because it's, this wave 2 is over 5 times longer than the wave 1. Not the greatest. It's preferred for a corrective structure, either a B wave or an X wave, rather than a second wave. It's just more common to be more lengthy in corrective structures, not in a wave 2. So it's something that you always take into consideration naturally. When we do take a look at this movement to the upside, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. You got the move up, that this is your lower time frame wave 1, right? If this is a wave 1 and this is a wave 2, then you need another wave 1 and 2, right? Potentially for that third wave. So this would be your wave 1, of course. That's the pump that you have. You can label this movement down as your wave 2. However, it did hit the 0.88 Fibonacci. It's really, really deep for a wave 2, which is not great also. So there's another way of counting it. Of course, if this were to be your wave 2, you do have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? You would need that 4, 5, 4, 5 as explained yesterday. Then your fourth wave, right? A little bit longer. And then your fifth wave. Still, this is why this zone is absolutely crucial for the bulls to maintain, because you know, the moment you overlap this pivot at 70k, basically, it ain't going to be looking too great. You know, then you're going to have to start fitting diagonals from this moment, right? Could we fit a diagonal? Probably not. Would have to be expanding, so that's low probability. It ain't going to be looking too great if we do get beneath this pivot for the bulls. When we consider Elliott Wave theory for an impulse. So there's one scenario that this is 1 2 1 2 3. You create a 4 5. You bounce from this region, create a couple of 4 5s, and then you create that fourth wave that should be a little bit longer because it's your higher time frame wave 4, and then, you know, one more wave 5. This is why on the lower time frame it is really, really crucial to actually hold this territory with a swing failure pattern from the lower or not. It is actually pretty damn crucial for the bulls here. The moment you start overlapping this pivot, then, you know, we've got a bit of an issue here. The other bullish case scenario would be multiple 1-2s just continuing. However, because we've had the biggest move happening in the last couple of days, if you were to overlap this pivot, yeah, your other option for the bulls, really, which I don't like very much, but yeah, it would be an invalidation only for the impulse. If you were to overlap here, then it would have to be multiple 1-2s potential. However, this scenario would go out the window because this is 1 2 1 2 3, and you want your 4 5 4 5. If you overlap that pivot, then we throw that out the window, and instead of having the wave 2 down here, we would have to fit in, which you can, the wave 2 here. Why can you fit the wave 2 here? Because you do have a 3-wave move down, a 3-wave move up, taking out the highs of your wave 1, and then an impulsive move down. So a running flat here is possible as one of the counts. So it's not all doom and gloom. If you do lose this level, the bulls only have the chance of another 1 and 2 here. That's, you know, if you form a WXY kind of scenario, you overlap this pivot, you will be losing the value area high of this range, which is not great. But the only scenario for the bulls would be spitting out back above the value area high here. That would actually be bullish again, to have a very, very good chance to take out the highs here again for that, you know, maybe a wave 3 developing in the next coming weeks. I don't want to be too bullish, but I understand that, you know, larger relief rallies in the next coming weeks is something that could happen. You know, if this turns out to be a 1-2, and then you got a 1-2 1-2, right? We think it's very, very bearish because you've lost the value area high, but then it spits out from the value area high, confirming that you have a 3-wave structure to the downside here. Then longs could be very, very interesting to look for if that is the case, you know, to speculate on a wave 3 breakout. Yeah, that's you know, it's one scenario that could happen where if we do take out this pivot high, a double 1-2 here is technically possible. Yeah, it is technically possible, but there would be no long trade, at least for me, until we confirm that the movement down is corrective and you spit out above the value area high again. You kind of break it, then I'll be very, very interested in looking for longs, because I would be labeling this as a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, 5, right? You actually absolutely skyrocket in the coming weeks. Not something that I'm counting on, but we need to trade the charts and trade the you know, the possibilities, of course. So the only aggressive swing long that I would see here would be this, this scenario for a double 1-2. We're going to have to see in the coming days, of course. This is higher time frame. This doesn't change the lower time frame scenario. Lower time frame scenario is I would rather prefer the SFP from this pivot. Will we get it or not? That is the question, but this is really a very, very strong zone for the bulls to maintain. So yeah, anyway, let's cover again the higher time frame possibilities here. Another scenario that is regarding the bullish one. If you are going to continue, speculating on that this is a wave 1 from the lower time frame, and you do form that running flat as your wave 2 here, in this case, the reason why it's so important to bounce where we at is because you don't want to see overlap basically from that wave 1. If you are developing here a wave 3, then you literally want to bounce at the 382. 50% Fibonacci is already coming down to overlap this pivot, which is at 70k. So we hitting the 382. The 382 is holding, so it is without a doubt a bouncing zone for the bulls here when we consider Elliott Wave theory with this count, where you have a wave 1, wave 2 running flat, a wave 3. This is your strongest move for the moment from the last few days. And naturally, if you are going to continue with a wave 4 and a wave 5 to take out 74k, this zone needs to hold at the 71k region. It just needs to hold if you want the impulse here to complete. The moment you start hitting this pivot, you need to start thinking of 1-2, 1-2 for the bullish case. But you need to get back above the value area high. If not, it's not going to be looking interesting. So yeah, bulls, they do have a chance here still when we consider the impulse, and that's been this formation of possible wave 4, and this needs to hold, preferably with no overlap from that pivot. So yeah, that's a little bit of what we got here with a bullish case. If you ask me for an intraday scalp, I have to say that for me it's better an SFP situation. SFP kind of fits in better with my style of trading. For me it's very, very difficult to get into the long here when you have this low very close. Of course you can front run that level, but I'll just say it's a missed trade. It's just a trade that I don't get into unless you're taking like the 382 Fibonacci as your confluence area. Remember, this is the 382 from that pivot low. If we consider a running flat, 71k basically, 382 is holding, but not a long that I would enter anyway. Not my style, but SFP would be definitely my style. It's something that we might get on stream. We'll see. We remain patient. What else do we have? What else do we have here regarding the possible movements? Let's talk about the bearish case. Let's talk about the bearish case. We like being bears as well. I like being a bear. So let's talk about the bearish case. Let's say hello to the wonderful community here. Let me just get a drink of my tea. Cold by now. Cold tea. Right. Chasing rabbits. Hello everyone, just hit the like. Suzanne, much love. Thanks for joining. W and X and B are done. Y is starting. WX of B. W and X of B are done. W and X of B are done. Y is starting. Is that from the very local move down? I'm not sure what time frame you are referring here to. Joan, much love. Thanks for joining. Could you take a look at gold? We can take a look at gold later on. We've got many scenarios still to cover here for Bitcoin. It's a bear market, so being a bear is favored right now. Nitro, it is. The anchored VWAP for the moment is doing its job. For me, it was the guideline. The guideline is getting respected. So far, not a massive move, but a couple of $1,000 down is already good for a day trade. I treated this short as a day trade aggressively and also as a swing. If we do take out the high, again, I am ready for another double top. I'm ready for another double top. Of course, we need the double top. You know, this is where I enter. That's where I put my stop. But I would be ready for this scenario because, you know, for the bearish case, we talked about the bullish one, right? Multiple 1-2s. If we overlap from this pivot, that's possible, but we would have to get above the value area high and, you know, analyze that pump and the correction for maybe a long. We got the internal scalp long scenario, which I am in favor of. This is a trade that I would take. If we do get it, guys, it's that pivot low, fair value gap. You know, if we do get down there, I'm going to take it. If we get the reaction, of course, that is needed, right? Get back above. But yeah, and the other scenario is another bullet, you know, to finish an impulse, we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? The fourth wave really needs to hold this 71K region without getting down to 70K. That's the moment it ain't going to be looking too great. It ain't going to be looking too great. The other bullish scenario that we need to shift into is the multiple 1-2. That's if we do form another higher low from this pivot and get acceptance back above the value area high. But that's another story. That's for the next stream. That's if, you know, if we do get that price action, we will consider the bullish case. Bearish case scenario, one of them is an not completed ABC movement. So we're looking at this to be an A wave, this to be a B wave, and a C wave that, you know, in my opinion, it would not be completed as of yet. I would want to see another 4 and 5 here getting developed. The main reason why is this multiple 1-2 is not looking too sexy at this moment. Wave 3, wave 4. I mean, if we take out the high, take out the high, then we can consider this as multiple 1-2s and multiple 4-5s. It really needs to bounce at this 71K region. But considering the other scenario, which is literally that wave 1 from here, and a running flat, which is possible just because you have a 3-wave move up that takes out the high. A running flat is countable here, and the impulse starts from this point. In that case, your wave 3 could be in. You're forming your wave 4, and you get a wave 5 here. In a C wave, you want to have a 5-wave structure, right? Wave 1, ABC running flat. Wave 3, your wave 4 eventually. If you are going to form an impulse, you don't want that overlap from this pivot, which, you know, we're not that far away. It's about $1,000 from the recent lows. So wave 4 really needs to hold in this region if we are considering an impulse for that possible wave C. This is why a double top here is, it's another trade that I would attempt to take. I would get stopped out of my recent, my recent short trade. This would get stopped out, but I would be looking to enter another short position if we double top. If we get that double top, and this is a swing short idea as well. You can scalp it, day trade it, just in case you get a corrective move down and then you come back up. You want to, you can treat it on both ways. I've treated this as a day trade and a swing trade. I want to keep a significant chunk because I know things can get bad in the next coming weeks. Based on what I explained at the beginning of the stream, where you claim this, the range highs here, and you claim the liquidity, and that's it. We've got so many different options that this could be a three-wave corrective structure. For this case, I would prefer another high, just because it kind of fits in better. That for this particular scenario, which is an ABC, from the pivot low here, it does fit better that we do get another 4 in 5 here. So taking out the highs would be preferred. And this is mainly because I'm more interested in the short position. So get that fake out above 74k, go to 75k or not, doesn't really matter. But then get acceptance back below the highs. So once the price comes back down beneath the highs, that's my trigger, that's my risk management stop loss. The same scenario as yesterday. Maybe this is the one. Maybe this is the one that actually comes down to 60k in the coming weeks, right? The risk to reward is, look no further. There's nothing better than this. So if we were to double top, I'm going to take the same risk management trade scenario here, based on the reading of what we have. ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bearish case is looking for a strong rollover. Regardless if it happens or not, it doesn't matter. I couldn't care less. It's just how to execute the trades and manage risk. Once you understand that trading is all about risk management and knowing how to execute trades with risk management, anything can happen. It doesn't matter. It's not about predicting and being right or wrong. You can have a favorite scenario, which is, I think it's higher probability that this happens. I think this is low probability based on, X, Y, Z. But it's all about the execution and it's all about risk management. Whoever says it's not, then it's not right. It's not right. So with this scenario, I would want another 4 and another 5, looking for the double top. And this is basically how I trade. I would just, if I get stopped out from the recent short position, this would be the next execution, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got just another 4 in 5. Bullish case is getting a corrective structure and forming a 5th wave. Obviously, you don't know if that's going to happen or not. Hopefully, it just nukes down if we do take out that high. Hopefully, it nukes down from here. There is that possibility that the local high here is in. And that's what I want to explain right away. It wouldn't make too much sense for the C where... oh, yeah, hang on a minute. We'll go through one of the scenarios. It would be a little bit sharp, but you have the W here in a zigzag. This is explaining why there is the potential of this being the high. Then the corrective structure could extend also, which is the next scenario that I want to explain. This has the potential of being the high. Okay? It has the potential of being the high. I don't know if it's going to be the high, but it has the potential. This would be looking at the recent move up. Of course, that wave X here is very complex. There's many ways of counting this structure. You do have a larger triangle and a B, C, D, E, or you have the wave W, wave X, and an A, B, C, D, E to finish your wave X here. It doesn't matter, but your end of structure would be this zone of this correction. This is why we talked about at the beginning of the stream, you either have the low here, which is for the bullish case, or the ABC scenario, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then move down in the ABC movement. But in the WXY situation, we would be looking for a double zigzag where you have an ABC movement here to finish your wave W. You have your wave X, which is all of this. There's several ways. It could just be a large triangle, or it could be a WX and Y in a triangle. Doesn't matter. It finishes here. And looking at this movement to the upside, another zigzag up from this pivot. Wave A, wave B, wave C. Double zigzag. When we zoom out on the 4-hourly time frame, we did have a double zigzag corrective move a few months ago. That is this one right over here. You got your zigzag W. You have your WXY finishing in a triangle as well. This is why it was important to understand that you take the movement up from this pivot, not from here or from here. It's from here. And here you did finish a 3-wave move up, 3-wave move up, complex correction, not for all of the viewers, and then another zigzag up. It would be the same WXY structure, however, obviously in a different scale, of course, right? In a different time frame, which would be this one here. It has the potential. It's not that great. Wave X is, you know, a little bit long, okay? Wave Y is similar in time than wave W. So there's a bit of symmetry from wave W and wave Y. But it has the possibility, just because where you finished here, your wave X, you have formed a zigzag. There is a 3-wave move up. There is a countable 3-wave move up here. There's a countable 3-wave move up here. It has the potential of being the high. And there's no looking back from, you know, in the next coming weeks. It's possible. Just like it was possible here for this to be the high. You know, there's no looking back throughout the next coming weeks. You know, this absolutely tanked. So we are in a bear market as well, right? It has the potential. Let's leave it that way. As it has the potential, I'm extremely interested in shorting the anchored VWAP rejection. It's just this is why I am short from here. Other scenarios, not the greatest looking one, but it is possible that this could be finished. Okay, I'm not here to say this is the highest probability scenario. This is it, guys. We go down from here. Nobody knows. It is countable on the chart. We got resistance. We claim liquidity above the range highs. It has the potential. Let's leave it that way. Another scenario is that your wave Y is not finished, because you have for the moment a 3-wave move to the upside in an ABC. That's what we have at the moment. Regardless, if you form a high or low here and take out the highs, then we would have a 5-wave move. But for the moment, we have a 3-wave move to the upside from this pivot. If the price rolls over and tanks, there is the possibility of a flat structure. ABC for your A wave, your B wave to take out the start of your A wave, or get very close to it at the 0.9 Fibonacci, and then you have your C wave as a flat that might take out the high or might be a running flat. Nobody knows, but it is a possibility. This would only extend a little bit of the range, making it a little bit more confusing. So what you would have here at the end of the day is a 3 wave down, and then that 5 wave move to the upside here to finish your Y wave in an ABC flat. Would be naturally to only roll over later on at some point. Now it becomes confusing because you would say, well, where do I get into the trade, right? When do I trade here? There's so many damn scenarios that it's just confusing, right? Then I say, well, I'm short already. I'm ready for my short. I short here. If we take out the highs, I'm short again because of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC structure, right? As you have so many scenarios, all of the scenarios brings you to a conclusion that something that could happen. Naturally, for the high probability short trade here, if we were to roll down to claim these lows and then get that pump in an impulse, it's going to be in my best interest to look for the 5th wave here, to look for the short. This is where I get ready for the short trade if I can count a 5 wave move up. I need the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, and then the 5th wave is where I get ready to analyze the chart to get into that short, understanding the overall high time frame corrective structure that we have here since 60k. We'll talk about this if we were to get an aggressive move down, and it's one of the options that we would consider, okay? But naturally it would not take out 60k as of yet on the move down, and we would not be going to 80k. It's just going to continue the range a little bit longer, potentially for 1 to 2 weeks more, then to obviously look for the movement down, because there's no doubt in my mind that if we were to go that deep, then I would just give this even more high probability that it is a corrective range. That's if we do get a deep move down here throughout the next coming days, getting below 68k. I would really favor then that, it's just a matter of time, guys, that we roll over to 60k, because it will be looking very corrective. But for the moment, we got some bullish options. They are available. They are possible. Not much more that we can fit here on a look, regarding Elliott Wave theory. They've all been basically covered. Legends, I'm going to go through the comment section. Remember, if you are interested in joining the trading community, that's where we provide daily updates every single day with the possible scenarios. Cannot go through them very much because there's some scenarios that we talked about. If you are interested in joining, super simple, send me a DM on the Telegram with the word access, and that's where you get the daily updates, the possible setups, the possible movements that myself and Devil are looking for, of course, for the next coming days. Just send me the word access, guys, and super simple to join. Sign up with one of the affiliate links, do a minimum deposit for your own trading. We'll get you inside of the trading community. Come on, Andy, dare you long at 100x. Let's go. Devil, my man. It is a bouncing zone. It is holding this area. The bulls do have a good chance to step in here. They do have a very good chance to step in this territory. They have a very good chance. Let's leave it that way. You do have the 3 wave move down. You're coming into the extension levels of a C wave 1-to-1 to the 1236. When we consider an impulse, we are literally, at the 382 Fibonacci. You do not want to overlap this pivot high. So yeah, it's an interesting area, no doubt, for the bulls to get a significant bounce. I would have to say I missed the long. I would get stopped out from the short just because my strategy here, I'm looking for a double top later on. That's no problem. But for me to take this long, I would have to see that SFP from this low. It's just we might not get it. It might just bounce from here. But for me, that's a missed trade. Yeah, I mean, it is holding nicely, this area. That's what you want to see, right? You get that boom, 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 the big move down, and you are holding this zone. So this is a kind of a double bottom territory. It is holding support. It is holding support. It is a zone where it can get that bounce. It can get that bounce. It's just the entry, really. The entry here for me, as mentioned, it is preferred for me to look for that SFB from that low. Quick little liquidity grab would be ideal here. If it bounces, it bounces. So be it. Much love, Devalt. Devalt with the morning updates inside of YouTube. Yeah, I'd prefer one more low. I would prefer it. It's a stop loss situation here. Really, it's a stop loss situation for me to get in on a long right now. As we got this choppiness, it would be ideal. Because this moved down, slowed down, boom, 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 we got a slowdown here. If we move down from here, this is the ideal catch the bottom, smelly fingers situation to then get into this trade. We might get it. We might get it on stream. We might get it. Let's go through the comment section. No 1, 2, 3. B is a WXY. It's doing something more complex than that. I think it's going up for a B now, and then we'll have to come down for a C, and then get the bounce. I'm not sure if you're talking about the local structure here. I'm not sure if you know, are you talking about a flat? A B wave down. I think it's going to go up in a B wave now, and then we'll have to come down for a C wave again. A, B, C. I'm not sure. Up in a B wave. I mean, if we have this as a, diagonal, wave 1 or wave A, wave B, unless A, B, C, unless you form a flat here, flat is still possible, but is still looking for lower. I'm not sure if you're talking about this range over here. But for the moment, what I have is either this being a wave A or a wave 1. This being a wave B or a wave 2. This is either a C wave. What could happen is that this is an ABC. You form a wave X, and then you form a flat here, and then you move up. That's something possible where you could extend the correction, and it just gets a little bit confusing. You end up taking out 74k later on. This is just going to take several hours, of course, to develop. A more complex sideways corrective structure could happen here. We're still very much in the timing zone. Let me just check if we are at the B wave target zone, because I think we are. Yeah, we literally are at the B wave flat target territory. If we would have hit the 1.618, it's a bit too deep for a B wave of a flat, but we are in the 1236 1382 zone. So even though if you take out this high, it could form an ABC, either a flat or a running flat, and then move down. However, flats are not common after a diagonal. That's something that we need to point out as well. After a diagonal, what is common is to get a sharp zigzag to the golden pocket 7-8 zone. That's literally what happened here. So a little bit shallow in time, I have to say, but this is 15-minute, 5-minute time frame. You can absolutely go crazy with Elliott Wave theory, with timing and fibs and, you know, lots of overlap. It's just I know Joan is an absolute expert. He will give you 5 to 10 different scenarios on the 5-minute invalidation levels, and, you know, it's just a little bit too much for myself. I know Devil is not a fan also of going to the 1-minute time frame, but we do know that Joan is an absolute legend inside of the trading community. He will talk about the 30-second Elliott Wave analysis. I'm not sure if Joan is around here, but shout out to you. But it's not for me. Not for me. Also rejecting from the point of control currently. What point of control? Point of control of today. I'm not sure what point of control. Not sure what chart you're looking at, but I don't have a point of control here. Unless it's this range. Yeah, this range. Yeah, maybe this one. I don't consider these little ranges. That's not how I use fixed volume profile. This is irrelevant really at the moment. More likely than A is a WXY. Okay. A is a WXY more likely than a diagonal. I think A is not a diagonal. I think is a WXY more probably. Okay. The thing is, if this is a WXY, then you know, you have to form a flat. If this is a WXY, I do get you here. If this is a WXY instead of a diagonal, which is a zigzag down, a correction in wave X, and another zigzag down, WXY double zigzag. If this is wave A, you can only have a B wave forming, you know, a flat basically, which needs to get all the way up to the 0.9 Fibonacci, which it didn't. So, yeah, unfortunately, this cannot be an A wave if this is a WXY, because you can only have an A wave in a WXY when it's a 3-wave structure to form a B wave, unless you're forming a larger diagonal later on, which is 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. We're not going to go down that route, of course. So if this is a WXY, I would say yes if you did hit the 0.9 Fibonacci at 73.9k. As we did not, and we claimed the low, this is higher probability a diagonal at the moment as the low has been taken. Because for a 3-wave move in a wave A, you need to form a flat, unless you're forming a larger diagonal later on, which is 3, 3, 3, 3. This could only be an A wave in a zigzag if it is a 5-wave structure. You cannot take out the low right over here if this is a WXY 3-wave structure. It needs to be a 5-wave move down for a zigzag. Only this could be for a larger diagonal, which you know, maybe could develop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then this can be a WXY in an A wave. Well, no, not an A wave. It would have to be a wave 1 in diagonal. But only I would consider this an A wave if this pivot touched the 0.9 Fibonacci for the flat. You cannot have an A wave WXY for a zigzag if you did not hit the 0.9 for the flat. So but B wave, yeah, the B does not work because 0.9 was not claimed, but B still can be the 0.9. No, I think A is not a diagonal. I think it's a WXY more probably. Yeah, there's really a situation here for that scenario. Unless, I mean, this would be an extremely messy scenario. It is true that an A wave or a B wave of a flat can be a flat on itself. So but this is like, it's extremely rare to get an A wave or a B wave, a flat inside of a flat. So, literally going through that scenario. Let me just get the anchored VWAP out of the way. It is true. You can claim the lows here. I mean, I have to say it is possible, but it's extremely rare that you form that WXY here for the A wave. We ain't going to go down that road because this would be extremely rare. However, it is technically valid that an A wave or a B wave in a flat can be a flat on its own. I mean, this would have to be an A wave, B wave. You form an impulse here. You touch the 0.9 Fibonacci. And then the B wave is a flat. So you've got 3-wave A, 3-wave flat B wave. You touch the 0.9 or you take out that high and then you form an impulse down to form an ABC flat. But your B wave is a flat inside of the flat. It is technically possible, but it is very, very rare. Devil Vegas Claw. Look at this guy. He's mocking you here. Singularity. If you draw a parallel channel from the 28th of February low, we're currently hitting the midpoint. Fourth wave shouldn't touch the low of the channel, right? Yeah. If you draw a parallel channel from the 28th of February low, we're currently hitting the midpoint. Okay, let's take a look at that. 28th of February. Okay. Is that considering? Well, we have a little bit of an issue here. Okay, we just have a few options. Unfortunately, we still have many options here. It is true that this could be a 1 2 1 2 3, and then your 4 5. Yeah. This could be your wave 1. This could be your wave 2 as that running flat. You talking about this low parallel channel. I think you are talking about this scenario. But yeah, we got a bit of an issue here. As explained, the bulls need to defend this zone without overlapping this pivot. That's for sure. If not, we start considering 1 2 1 2, and we need to reclaim that value area high again. But I would not consider this. Yeah, we just got too many scenarios at the moment. But a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3, you need 4 5 4 5 to consider this a wave 3, right? From this pivot, you need a few 4 5s, and it literally needs to bounce here at this 71k zone The other parallel channel would be this one right over here from this pivot, because this is the one that we are considering as your wave 1, your wave 2, right? And that's your ABC running flat right there. So if we were to get a parallel channel from here, then you know, we're literally coming into the not looking too great. Yeesh. Yeah, this is what this one is. No bueno. Not good. Not good. If this were to be the count, wave 1, ABC running flat, and you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you should be really not coming down to the base of the channel here, which it is at the moment. So yeah, as explained, this movement, this range, it does have the potential of being finished. This has the possibility, even though the symmetry from wave W and wave X would be absolutely awesome, because it's literally the very, very same timing. That's considering the WXY double zigzag. Zigzag in wave W, long complex wave X finishing in a triangle, and now your wave Y here. This zigzag in wave W is very shallow in time, but this one also is shallow in time. So there is symmetry with this move up and this move up. It's the only thing that's not symmetrical is your wave X. But wave X can be very lengthy, they can be very short, they can be very deep, they can be extremely complex. Your latest moves is what, you know, wave W and wave Y are the most important to try and understand it. You know, can it be the end or can it not be the end, or how many more waves can be developed? Wave X is an absolute mess. You know, it could extend a triangle, a larger triangle, a more complex WXY, and it's just very, very messy. Just like the mess that we had here, right, in this range a few months ago, right? This was just extremely, extremely messy. And, you know, we had to come up with the idea with many, many different combinations. But you did have a zigzag. Then you had the flat in wave W, another complex WXY, and then the triangle for wave Y here to finish X. So it's a flat X triangle and then zigzag. So it does have the possibility of being finished here. Just a 3-wave structure, right? Why so much complexity, right? Just a 3-wave move up. Anyway, we might be coming down to that SFP territory as we speak. Bull's gonna have to do something here. We might get into this scalp long. I might get into this scalp long on stream. We'll see. SFP from that pivot. We've got fair value gap. It is a very, very common area to bounce. It is a very, very common area to create that bounce. Let's see if we do get it. Much love to everybody. Let's go through the comment section, see what the people are saying. Smash up the like button. If you want more daily updates, if we're not on YouTube, myself and Devil, we are inside of the trading community. That's where we provide the different possibilities, setups that we are looking for. We answer questions. You can tag us. If you want to join, make sure to send me the word access. It is for free. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliate links down below. Do a minimum deposit for your own trading, and we'll jump you inside of the trading community legends, okay? That's if we're not on YouTube, you know where to find us. Find us, not found. Singularity X, if price does go down aggressively from here, you literally shorted the top. Well, we talked about this yesterday. There was no secret about getting into a short here at the anchored VWAP, looking for double, triple tops. It's a higher time frame major resistance level. It's a higher time frame major resistance level, and it's not the moment to get extremely excited for the price to go to, you know, 80k and 90k or whatever, right? It's just we are in a very aggressive bear market. It is true that bear markets get corrections, right? And you do go to higher prices after an aggressive move down. And we're coming into a major resistance level, which is that anchored VWAP. We've claimed the liquidity above the highs. Naturally, you don't want to go crazy regarding risk, right? I can have a stop loss above the high of the wick in an internal double top here, and I will be more than happy to get stopped out. It's okay. The problem is people that are shorting without a strategy here and understanding the market structure, where you will enter a short. I'm adding to my short. It's going to turn around at some point. You know, no. There's just that's suicidal, right? That's suicidal. So overall, yesterday it was either, you know, we might reject here, we might correct, and we might form a double top here, right? It's just and it just gives you a very good entry with good risk management. It is true you can get stopped out maybe once or twice if you're not defensive, but still the stop losses are relatively small, right? If you get into that stop, you know, short position in this double top, first one, price moves down, and say that you did not protect position from that first attempt, right? Let's just imagine that you entered here. I did. I got stopped out at break even, re-entered again after this double top. You can protect position, you cannot protect position. Sometimes if you protect, I almost got stopped out with this movement up here today. I have to say I was lucky to not get stopped out, because stop loss was getting close. I did lower my stop loss. But in this case, if you got stopped out, regardless protecting position or not, right? Because this would have stopped you out. Then, you know, I'm happy to re-enter here with stop loss at the high. And, you know, you got a bit of breather, cover your losses. I can cover my losses from my first attempt. That is, if you didn't protect. If you protect, then you don't need to cover any losses. Maybe you'll cover some fees. But you already have a bit of a breather here to cover that trade and maintain a possible epic swing short position for the next coming weeks. When we talk about this anchored VWAP that we did get rejected yesterday, when we zoom out, also, when we took that anchored VWAP here, we also created that anchored VWAP. Remember, is from all-time high, right? The one that got rejected here below 98k. That anchored VWAP also created a bit of choppiness. We also created a double top. So you got rejected from this anchored VWAP. Maybe you shorted stop loss here. That didn't backtest and move lower. It came back up and created that double top, such as yesterday. We had a double top situation yesterday also with the anchored VWAP here, right? It also created that new high after the first rejection. It double topped. So I was just really considering what happened back in January at that anchored VWAP from all-time high, understanding as well Elliott Wave theory that, you know, this might be the high. This might be the high, or we may be very close to the high with another bit of a higher time frame double top, which is still possible. As explained, if this is going to be an ABC, you want to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Maybe it does maintain this zone and it creates another high. I'll just be ready to get into another short position if we reject from the local highs of yesterday. So I will not short on the pump naturally, even though some people might be having limit shorts here just in case. But breaking to higher levels is always possible, right? I need to see some kind of a rejection here so I can have a stop loss above the wick. And that's overall understanding the higher time frame potential of this being a finished three-wave structure. It's not going against, right? Because you might think, why are you shorting the market that's pumping? Why are you attempting a short here if we've been rallying for the last few days? It's bullish. We're going higher. It's because I understand the higher time frame that this could be a coming to an end three-wave structure in a bear market, right? Just like this, three-wave move that we had over here, right? Yeah, you're pumping. Yeah, people are calling for much higher levels. I understand that we're in a bear market. This does look very corrective. You swept liquidity. You're hitting anchored VWAP. It's a three-wave move. I want to look at the lower time frame for the different possibilities to consider the short trade. And yeah, what else has to be said here? I create other plans as well, because I'm very much aware that this could bounce here in this zone and takes out the highs, and then you're like, oh, you got stopped out from that short, right? What's your next plan? Well, if we double top, then I'll short again, right? So I do have an alternative plan, which is basically what I'm sharing here. I have to say I was pretty lucky today. I almost got stopped out from here, from that short. Almost got stopped out. And this is the kind of movement that stops. If you are protective, this is the kind of movement that stops you out and leaves without you. And the best example that we have from that, because it does happen before rejecting. We had that happening here back in this zone. If you were defensive, I have to say I did not short here, even though the short was very available. But the rejection that we had here as a swing failure pattern from the range highs, this was back in October of 2025, right? You form that dead cat bounce, you continue lower, sweep up the highs of the range, off we go, there's no looking back. 116k. The situation here is that you got a nasty move up, hitting almost the 0.88 if I'm not mistaken from the movement down. This is people that are shorting here in this SFP. They are getting wicked out if you are defensive. And then, this is really frustrating because you form the SFP. Okay, all good, all nice. Perfect. Bang, I enter the short. Stop loss is at the high. Perfect, we're already rolling down. I got a 3-to-1 risk to reward. Absolutely awesome. I am going to put stop loss at break even. And then you get this wick that stops you out and leaves without you all of the gains that you could have made. You're out. That could have happened to me today if we were to roll down. I mean, we might pump, but it is frustrating, and it does happen. They want to wick you out if you got into a swing failure pattern, and this it is common to happen this. And could you say that move to the upside might have been the one that is trying to drag the people out that shorted the anchored VWAP? Is the drag you out here, and then the price can go. I have to say, this was not an easy short position right there. When you consider the leading diagonal here, there's lots of overlap, so it has to be a leading diagonal. Sharp move, but I did hit this 7-8 Fibonacci. 7-8 just tapped. Not an easy decision short here when you consider that a leading diagonal is not high probability movement, but WXY here would have been more favorable, of course, in an uptrend. But this is, the market needs to confuse you, right, to go to the move. Market needs to confuse you, right? If it market cannot move up like this, right? If it were to be that simple, then what we're looking at consistently would be something like this, right? All easy and good. Oh yeah, impulse up, corrective move, I long here, stop loss, take profit, boom boom boom, impulse, okay, 3-wave structure, you know, getting into the resistance support flip, okay, bang. Super simple. Trading is easy because it just moves up in 5, down in 3, it gets supported at resistance support flips, right? We're all making good gains, but it's apparently not like that. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. And you know, naturally with this movement down, I would have favored the bullish case. I would have favored that this is corrective rather than a leading diagonal, you know. But you know that we still have that possible bounce here. If this is going to be an ABC, I mean, let's see if we do get that movement down. I don't want to see a local double bottom here. I want that low to be claimed. We might get a little scalp. I might get a little scalp entry here. Let's see. It might happen. Let's see if it does. We'll be ready. Super easy to manage risk on these trades. We might get them on stream. We might get it on stream here. Let's see if we get a bit of an aggressive wick here and fails to break down. Let's see. This is coming with the idea that this could be an ABC, coming down to the 1, 2, 3, 6. Preferably that low is taken. Considering that this is a leading diagonal, ABC, you got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. And right now you just sweep up that liquidity, get a reactionary bounce. Let's see if that low is swept. Last week high could give support at 70k. Yeah, it is true. When I consider Elliott Wave theory, it's not that great if we were to get down to the value area high, basically a resistance support flip here. It is value area high of this region. Also, I mean, this is why you could SFP from that low also, right? Create that movement down to the low 70k region and get the reaction. If it's broken, if we lose the value area high and these pivot highs, like in the next coming hours, it just gets a big move down. It's not going to be looking too great. Getting acceptance back inside of the value area zone of the last 4 weeks is just not too bullish. And when we combine Elliott Wave theory with the structure here, we don't have many options. The only bullish option that would be left is a 1, 2, 1 and 2 here. And if a miracle happens, we get the we form a higher low naturally. We get, you know, we do identify some kind of a 3-wave corrective structure developing in the next 1 to 2 days, and you get an impulsive move up to get back above the value area high, which I would say that could be bullish. I could flip bullish in the next coming days if we lose the value area zone of this trading area, and we get a nice push up in an impulse back above, because then I would say, okay, we've got the possibility of a 1-2-1-2 here. Only if this happens, right? Only if we do get an impulsive move up to get back out of the value area zone, value area high, basically, in an impulse, where we can identify that the move down is possibly corrective. If we break out in an impulse, then I would say, right, I would be happy if we can identify this to say, you know what, I'm actually going long here to take out the highs, stop loss at this low. Maybe it breaks in a wave 3, right? That would be like the bullish case scenario, but I would need this price action to really say, okay guys, we flipped from being bearish, we got acceptance back above the value area high in an impulse. Then I would say, holy smokes, you know, this might be a double 1-2. You know, maybe we're actually going to pop out in a wave 3 in the coming weeks. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, but it's something that could happen, but we need to see it happen first before we take the decision and we flip bullish, right? So 200 likes, let's go. How many likes do we have? I'm falling asleep here. Let's go, legends. Much love to everybody. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you get a lot of value, understand a little bit more every day the readings of the charts, the levels, Elliott Wave theory as well, which we do like to talk about a lot. Hopefully you are learning a lot, and you do enjoy the content very, very much, guys. If so, smash up the like button. Much appreciated, right? We're not here to be right or wrong. We're just here to provide the education, the possibilities, the levels that I would look for an entry, for an exit. Only my personal opinion, what I know, and I am just sharing with you guys, okay? Let's go see how many likes we do have here. Well, let's do a like recount. Almost 200 likes, over 400 people. Come on, guys, it is free to smash up the like button, you lazy buggers. A lot of value, a lot of valuable content is very appreciated. Thanks, Andy. Luis Martinez, you are very welcome, my man. Much love to you. Thank you very much for the kind words. Hello, sir. Great analysis as always. Thank you so much for being here with us. Much love. Thank you for being here with me. Much love to you. Andy, let's see the chat sentiment. Legends feeling bullish or bearish? Luis, that's an epic idea. How are you feeling? How are you feeling for the coming weeks? Let me know, guys, on that poll. Bullish, bearish. That is for Bitcoin, of course. Maybe the general markets. Get your votes in here. How are you feeling? I'm feeling bearish, guys. I'm feeling bearish. Maybe you're feeling bullish. It's the, you know, I have a problem. When I'm feeling bearish, I have my gut feeling that says it's probably going to be bullish, right? I think this happens to everybody, right? I just go with a little bit of the possibilities and the analysis. It could turn out being more bullish than I think. 1-2, a 1-2 here. You know, if this turns out to be another 1-2 and we get acceptance, I will have to flip bullish here, depending on the reclaims and depending on the market structure, right? But for the moment, I have to lean bearish based on the higher time frame, based on the bear market, based on this could be, looks very corrective. But yeah, things could change very much. This could still be a wave 4 on the formation. As mentioned, you know, bulls really need to hold on this zone to create another high if we want to complete that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here from this point actually. Anyway, let's get those. Let me know here how you feeling. 62% are feeling bearish for the next coming weeks. Out of almost 100 votes, 37% are feeling bullish. I'm wolfish. Confused, says Pathman. Yeah, I'm not bullish or bearish. I'm confused. That's a very, very good answer. We should have added that to the poll. Are you feeling bullish, you're feeling bearish, or are you feeling confused? I feel confused a lot of the times, right? You know, I just try and apply levels, Fibonacci, waves, confluence. It happens, you know, I've got over almost 10 years of experience right now. We're looking at charts, learning all sorts of different indicators, levels, Elliott Wave. Almost going to be 10 years right now, and still at this day, even though I've mastered my risk management and, you know, trade execution, I still analyze the chart and say, you know, I just don't know exactly what has higher probability. It happens. It still happens no matter how much experience you have. But there are some days that are beautiful. There are those days that you know that there is an extreme high probability setup. And we had one a few weeks ago, which was right over here. I got in heavy on this trade, a short position that Devil did provide inside of the trading community, which I took as well. We covered this on YouTube days before, where we were looking for this to potentially be an impulse and look for a 3-wave corrective move. We had an impulse down here already, and we were talking about the bounce at this inefficiency, right? This fair value gap zone, which we got the bounce, and this was high probability corrective to then roll down later on. So this was a short that, you know, this was coming into the point of control of this consolidation, and, you know, there's such a good short position here to treat as an SFP or hit the golden pocket from the high of the low. You know, it was a trade that I was waiting for in the last couple of days to take. It was only a move of $2,000-3,000, but still, you know, it's a decent move to get into a day trade, and this was crystal clear for me. This was a very, very clear high probability rejection not to take out this high, because, you know, naturally, with that said, you know, if you do have an impulse, if you get a leg down, one wave down, you know, it's highly likely going to form a lower high, unless you form a flat, of course, right? But coming into the resistance levels, this was high probability corrective. You had these pullbacks were hitting the 0.88, so you're likely forming B waves here and an ABC. It was just a very, very good, you know, you need to be in front of the chart though, of course. Devil did provide this short position. Well, he did actually share that he was entering the short trade here at this zone at 70k, and it got a really nice rejection. You know, these are the kind of movements that you're looking for on the chart, right? At high probability setup. Sometimes it could take days, if not a couple of weeks, till you actually get a good high probability trade setup. But for me, because I was waiting for many days to look for a possible short, I didn't have any clear shorting trades in the zone. We were pumping high volume. We just take out the highs, okay. Did get into this SFP. We did talk about this. This happened on stream a few days ago. It was a very valid SFP, but overall, treat it as a day trade scalp, guys. You know, I was very much aware of this not being the high. I'm not sure if you guys remember that. This was a few days ago. This is a very good short SFP level. But as a scalp, you know, I wasn't expecting this to be the high to come down to 60K. This one, I can expect that maybe it is the high and we come down to 60K in the coming weeks. So this one is treated as already as a potential swing short on the anchored VWAP rejection. Are you waiting for yesterday's long trades to be cleared before entering? Are you waiting for yesterday's long trade to be cleared before entering? Yesterday's long trade cleared before entering. I'm not sure if I understand that. Legends, let's get those likes up to 250. Absolutely awesome. My man here, A Trader, giving love and support. Absolutely awesome. Market loves to confuse traders. It very much does. It very much does. I would be lying if I said I know every single day the exact analysis. I need to wake up, have a couple of coffees and sit down and analyze the levels, the waves, and still to this day with 10 years of experience almost now, there's days that you're like, okay, you know, you need to start from fresh, clean the chart and look at the different possibilities. Looks like we're going to wick those lows. We either break it or wick it. As if we do get a little live little scalp here on stream. It wants to. TradFi looks horrible. Not sure what that is. Not sure what that is. Bathmania Vallejos, I'm getting an expert at managing my anxiety. I just needed to learn the patience to wait. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Legends, for the consistency. You're very much welcome. Bathmania Vallejos desde Barcelona. Vámonos. Andy, thank you for pointing out the anchored VWAP yesterday. What a short that could be. Mostly looking for higher and then down. Thanks, you're epic. Ice Cube, much love. Thank you very much for the kind words. It's just a level, it's just an indicator, it's just something that we consider. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but this is why we manage risk, right? We can't go too crazy. You know, this whole thing about getting into a short, not having a stop loss, adding to a short, right? If it pumps, right? You know, obviously the people that don't know how to manage their risk and execute, they'll say, you were wrong. You know, we didn't roll over. It doesn't matter. You know, even this rejecting at the anchored VWAP, it doesn't matter. It's a level. It's something. You know, I'm not gonna brag about it. Well, we have to, of course. You know, we just to give legitimately. You know, basically to give that, to see that, you know, these scenarios are legit sometimes. But risk management is the most important thing, because throughout the history of the channel and the community groups, you do get to know very irresponsible traders. And I've had devastating DMs of people being underwater, tens of thousands of dollars, not knowing what to do, and literally not having any plan. And it's really, really devastating to see. And hopefully a lot of people learn how to, just read the charts, be patient, understand the levels where the price could bounce or reject, and manage risk, where zones could double top, where you could get a bounce. If you don't bounce, you don't trade. If you break, you don't long. If you react, you can long. And guess what? You can have a tight stop loss with good risk management. If this ends up bouncing on this SFP to much higher prices, then the risk rewards can be 3, 4, 5 to 1, right? This is why you don't need to go all in. You need to manage risk. It's just another trade. There'll be another trade around the corner in the next coming days, right? So hopefully people will, really, really get the hang of it. They do learn. Traditional finance. Oh, okay. TradFi. Okay. Traditional finance. Okay. My bad. I thought it was TradFi, traditional finance. Okay, my bad. I should have been quicker and better than that. What's the ES doing? Oh, the ES is moving down S&P 500. We're trying to hold this value area low of this zone. I'm not sure if Bitcoin is going to support if we were to lose this momentum. The momentum is definitely getting lost here on the S&P 500. Well, you know, throughout 2025, it is really slowing down here. And this just looks like a big gap here to get that 10% correction. Momentum was looking good. You know, when you channel this momentum on the stock market, you can. Bitcoin will not survive, in my opinion, if stock market gets a 10% correction in the coming weeks. Bitcoin will most likely, you know, take the hit as well. But when you channel here, for example, the momentum here, right? You're channeling the uptrend of 2025 on the stock market. You know, when you get those higher low pivots, you're losing the channel base, right? It is just losing momentum. The uptrend momentum is getting lost. It's rounding off, and it is primed at some point to get a significant pullback, in my opinion, which Bitcoin will get punished because there is some pretty strong correlation still with the stock market, the S&P 500 indices, right, and Bitcoin. Bitcoin will not wouldn't manage that pullback of 10%, give or take, on the stock market. If we were to pull Bitcoin here together with the stock market, we can just give you a clear example here. Yeah, you can see the correlation basically. I mean, wow. It is a shame that Bitcoin, look, this is in the blue we have Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin obviously got a major move down in the last few months, and stock market is still holding pretty nicely. But you can see the correlation here. Stock market dropped, Bitcoin in the blue also dropped here. There is some especially higher time frame correlation, right? Bear market 2022, also for Bitcoin naturally. Rally here, stock market, and the dips. I mean, even stock market is stronger, right? Bitcoin getting these sideways corrections, stock market still going up. But the moment stock market does take the movement down, Bitcoin does feel that move down, right? Stock market in the candlesticks, Bitcoin did get the move down. Unfortunately, stock market hasn't had a major pullback yet. So you got Bitcoin in the blue getting the pullback, stock market still rallying. What if this happens in the next coming weeks and stock market does get that 10% correction? You know, Bitcoin is unlikely going to survive that S&P 500 correction. And this does really look very toppy. Legends, thank you very much. Let's see if we SFP. Yeah, it's not about entry. If you SFP, it's not hard. They're not hard setups. I'm gonna wait for another couple of minutes and let's see if it does SFP or if it breaks down. If we did get a little bounce here and range still, guys, this could take another hour or two. It might take a few minutes. Might take a couple of minutes. It might take an hour or two still here. You just never know. You might get another bounce and you might just, form a little range here still. But yeah, it should happen. It either breaks. There could be some nasty double bottoms here as well before you bounce. Let's see if we do get it. Much love to everybody. Thanks for joining the stream today. Don't forget about gold, please. Oh, gold. What can we say about gold? Gold. Gold. Gold got the rejection here at the 7-8 Fibonacci. I have to say, this movement down is extremely sharp on gold. Very, very sharp move down. And I'm not sure if I would correlate this movement up as, you know, either a wave 2 or a wave B. I mean, this is extremely long in time from this fast move down. This has to be this is over 8-9 times longer from the move down. You know, this actually might be a large correction happening here on gold. Not sure if it would be multiple 1-2s. Yeah, you know what? I'll get gold analysis. Bit of higher time frame, a bit of lower time frame, considering levels, scenarios, different possibilities. We are trying to bounce here throughout the last couple of days at this high volume node. But I will get some analysis on gold for tomorrow's stream. Let's do that. Let's do that for tomorrow's stream. Not now, because it's going to take at least 15-20 minutes. But I would say that gold is still bullish. This is too fast of a move down to see this correlated as a wave 2 or a wave B. I would say a larger range, or if not bullish, low is in here. Because it happened too fast, and now we're just grinding to the upside, creating higher highs for the last couple of weeks here. So we'll get gold analysis tomorrow, proper analysis. It's gonna, I don't want to really just talk about BS analysis, right? Trend lines, and, you know, just do it very, very quick. We want to get some proper gold analysis tomorrow, and we'll talk about it on the stream. Why not? Bull still, thank you. Why is your gold chart in percentage and not price? Yeah, this is because I switched it into percentage, basically. Yeah, there it is. Because I added the Bitcoin chart here. I was comparing Bitcoin with the stock market, and it automatically changed to percentage. Okay, but yeah, sorry about that, my bad. Almost to 250 likes. Thank you very much, legends, for the insane support and for joining today's stream. Let's see if we do take out those lows already, guys. It might take 10 minutes, it might take an hour, it might take a couple of minutes, but it just needs to SFP, basically, right? It needs to wick, get back above, and then get the bounce. If it does not and it breaks, then that's it, right? We look for lower. Okay, but this would be the zone to get the reaction. I would treat it as a scalp day trade. It could bounce to higher prices with the potential of taking out the high. It does have that possibility if this turns out to be a 3-wave corrective structure. So anyway, you know what the situation is and how those trades are executed. You break it, nada. You get a wick, get back above. It is an attempt. It is an attempt to get that larger bounce. I would say the session VWAP would be a TP1. Session VWAP would be TP1. Which is coming in at $72,000 approximately. Most bearish case scenario, if you don't break down in a wave 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and you can just continue rolling down high volume. The other bearish scenario, the main reason why the session VWAP should be a TP1 is because this could be a wave 1, a wave 2, and this could be another wave 1 and another wave 2 here. And you form a lower high. It looks bullish. It looks like an ABC. and it's, you know, ends up breaking down 1 2 1 2 breakdown and a wave 3. So bullish case scenario naturally would be, you know, getting a big bounce and a corrective move down just to take out the highs later on in the coming days. But yeah, SFP would be the best option really if I would consider, you know, really trying to catch the low here of this potential ABC movement down. Okay, but the wick is needed. You know, we get these many times. You know, I could just zoom out here in the last few weeks, and I'm sure I can find one of those SFPs. I'm probably going to the hour. Yeah, there is many of them though. More of the 5 minute, 15 minute. I can't remember the latest one. Oh yeah, I'm just trying to find an example here of this kind of SFP. Much love, people. Okay, we're getting the bounce at the moment. We ain't claiming the low. Let's see if it does in the next 20 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know. It might not even claim it. Might even front run it. But I'm not here for front runs. Okay, as explained, if the price would have bounced from here, for me it's a miss long. If I did get the long, then I'm underwater now and I'm panicking, and then obviously I shouldn't have taken that long because it's not part of the plan. Legends, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much. Swing long, but didn't speak of the short TP areas. You didn't talk about the short TP areas. That's from the rejection of the anchored VWAP. I mean, you can always TP. I already took an aggressive TP with the movement down here, and I'm treating this as a swing short potential. It's one of those trades that I want to hold for a few weeks for a possibility of hitting 60k. So it's gonna suck if you know, it all depends on how we break down here, because if we move down and you know, we get below the value area low, but then in the next 1 to 2 days we get a bounce and we get acceptance, we get a bounce in an impulse and we get acceptance back above the value area high, I'm going to take most of the profits of the short. It all depends on how the price develops throughout the next coming days. But yeah, the idea of this would be awesome. There is the potential of this being an end of a three-wave structure, and if that is the case, the potential of coming down to 80k and 60k in the coming weeks is there. So we're going to see how the price develops in the coming days, but naturally scratching a bit of profits if you did get into the rejection at the 74k region anchored VWAP, then you know, scratching some profits is always good. Legend, thank you very much. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow. If not inside of the trading community, send me a DM if you want access. Super simple. You can get you a few months for free just signing up with one of the affiliate links down below. Minimum deposit for your own trading will get you inside of the trading community. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.